The Los Angeles Clippers' new arena might have just cracked the code to become the hardest place to play in the NBA, as players are already missing free throws due to a new addition to their new stadium that they just introduced this year. The Intuit Dome was built the past few years and opened this season, as the Clippers now have their own home to play at. Now, they have created one of the most interesting things that we have seen in the NBA recently, as many of these stadiums are very similar. But going into this, Steve Ballmer said that he wanted to make something that made it very hard for opposing teams to play at, including shooting free throws. So let's take a look today at their new stadium, and specifically what they call the Wall. For over 25 years, the Clippers and the Lakers played in the same arena. Now, this had many challenges, as both teams obviously had to play 82 games during the season, with both playing 41 home games each. So there was a lot going on in this stadium throughout the past 25 plus years. But the owner of the Clippers decided that he wanted to build a new stadium that could accommodate the Clippers, and this stadium would cost over $2 billion and would start being built in September of 2021. Now, when he created this stadium and started coming up with designs for it, he wanted to make this very interesting and wanted to separate this from other stadiums that had already been built within the country. He wanted to make sure that the Clippers had their own unique experience and weren't just going to be the little brother to the Lakers anymore, and provided a separate experience from them and would be able to make a name for themselves as a separate team. Now, Steve Ballmer, the owner of the Clippers, decided that he wanted to make this stadium different and had many ideas. A man that has over $120 billion to his name at this point, he knew that he was going to put all of his money into this and make this as good of a stadium as possible, with over a $2 billion price tag. Now, a former CEO at Microsoft, he wanted to be able to include new technology, as he felt like many basketball arenas across the country were pretty plain and didn't really have much life to them, when there was so much technology that could be used to create a better experience for the fans going to these games, spending all this money. Now, starting off, one main thing that he wanted to make sure his new stadium had was toilets and urinals. This arena has over 1,100 of those, 3 times the league average, because he wanted to make sure that fans never had to wait to use the bathroom and could be watching the game as long as possible. Another major feat that was put into this stadium was a double-sided halo board, which is similar to the one at SoFi Stadium, which is also in Los Angeles. This board covers over 38,000 square feet with a 4K resolution display. They also have some features on this board, including the Player 360, which can show a player's profile and also show stats throughout the game as well. They also have a t-shirt cannon made into the top of the board that can shoot t-shirts during timeouts without having to have anyone up there, as it just automatically does it as well. Each seat also has the capability to have buttons on the side so they can answer questions and they can give out prizes to the fans in the stadium. But the main thing that I want to talk about is the Wall, which Steve Ballmer was very, very excited to include in this new stadium, making it very different from others within the country. Now, the Wall is going to be holding 4,500 fans in total, and there are some rules for the Wall. It is a 51 uninterrupted row area with 300 people in the standing only section and 4,500 in total. Now, if you sit here, you can only wear and cheer for the Clippers, only wearing their merchandise. And if you're wearing another team's or cheer for another team's, you will not be allowed in the section. This is only for the home fans and people who have season tickets as well. Now, this is something that we haven't seen in almost any NBA arena across the country as well, and it almost goes back to the roots of other sports like soccer in Europe, where they have these large sections of fans that can get really rowdy, and they put this behind one of the baskets, so when opposing teams are shooting their free throws, hypothetically, their free throw percentage will go down, and we can actually look at the stats right now for the games that we have already seen this season, and it is already making an impact. Now, talking about the first game of the season, we saw the Suns go against the Clippers in the Intuit Dome in their first home game. Now, we saw Kevin Durant go to the line, one of the best scorers of all time in NBA history, and an 88.4% career free throw percentage. He was sent to the line in front of the wall. He missed both free throws, with the sellout crowd really getting to him, and he talked about it after the game as well.
Once people get more and more comfortable with the arena, it's going to be insane here. So I always love when new venues go up in our league. It's always cool. It always sets the standard for what may come down the line. So Steve is doing a great job with his franchise.
What was it like to look up from the floor at that wall?
Yeah, it was crazy. I was just staring at it the whole time. You're not used to that.
It's definitely a different look than anything you were going to see in an NBA arena of what that end looks like, and clearly, road teams are going to be shooting into that in the second half every night.
Now, clearly, this is a very effective strategy, and it has worked out so well, especially if one of the best scorers of all time already said that it is working against him, and it is working for the Clippers so far. But despite this stadium being built this year, the Clippers, as of this recording, still have not won a game there and have one of the worst free throw percentages in the NBA. Now, it's only really going to work for half of the game when one of the teams is going down to that section, but it still could play a big role for them during this season until teams really figure it out. There's not really any other place in the NBA that is built like this right now, and yes, there's a lot of fans screaming in the background, but this is a full section, and they also give out props to the fans as well, which I can show right here. As you can see, a lot of people, they give out a bunch of different things during the game, and it really gives you that European soccer or maybe college basketball feel that we see with a lot of these student sections as well. Now, despite this new stadium, the Clippers are still in a very bad spot going into this season. Losing Paul George in the offseason to the 76ers. Now they are really relying on James Harden as their main guy, as Kawhi Leonard is out indefinitely, and we really have no idea of when he's going to come back at this point. On their depth chart, Kawhi is out, and we have no idea when he's coming back. We've heard maybe a few weeks, but who knows at this point as well. It's expected that he's going to miss at least a few weeks, but he is expected to play at some point this season. So we'll have to see what happens with the Clippers. But even though they built this new stadium, it seems like they're going to be in for a tough season trying to make the playoffs again this year. But there is a lot that is going to stand in their way. They do have some advantages, though, with this new stadium as well, with the wall. And I want you guys to let me know down below. Do you think more teams are going to come out and try to recreate this or try to come up with a new idea like this? I think this was a very good idea from the Clippers' perspective, and also from Steve Ballmer, who is a very, very smart guy. He knows a lot about technology as well, like I talked about before. And it's great to see a guy come in here and finally introduce some new things to the NBA, as we see a lot of these arenas pretty similar, and it's nice to see this new technology being utilized. So let me know down below what you guys think of this new stadium, and if you think it's going to give the Clippers a big advantage going forward in the next few years and few decades. And I'll see you guys in the next one.